If this message reaches you, it is meant for you. For anyone seeking inner peace today, you are not the mind. Listen. There is a truth older than religion, older than scripture, older than the human race itself. A truth that has been whispered through every mystic, every prophet, every enlightened teacher who ever walked this earth. A truth Joel Goldsmith spent his life trying to awaken in the hearts of those who were ready. And that truth is this: the kingdom is already here, not coming, not arriving someday, not waiting in the afterlife, not something you earn or qualify for. It is here, now, in this very moment. But most people don't feel it because they live inside the illusion of separation. They believe they are a separate being, cut off from God, disconnected from peace, living outside of something sacred and trying desperately to get back inside. This illusion is the root of suffering. This illusion is why anxiety grows. This illusion is why fear controls. This illusion is why people feel alone even in a crowded room. This illusion is why people pray and wonder, why can't I feel God? Because separation is the greatest lie the mind ever created. Let me tell you something from the heart. You have never been separate, not for 1 second of your life. Even when you felt abandoned, even when you felt broken, even when you felt unworthy, even when you doubted everything, the kingdom was already within you. You just couldn't see through the noise. Joel Goldsmith used to say, "We do not enter the kingdom. We awaken to it." And that awakening is what this message is about. Let me take you deeper. There is a man I once met during a retreat in Northern California. Born and raised in Detroit, tough childhood, worked 2 jobs most of his life. He told me he spent years feeling angry at God, or maybe more accurately, angry at the idea of God. He said, "If God is real, why doesn't he show up?" He went through a divorce, struggled with depression, and once sat alone in his car outside a Walmart parking lot at 2 a.m. crying, feeling like he had no purpose left. Then something simple happened, something ordinary but life-changing. He said one morning he was driving down Interstate 75, and for the first time in years, he turned off the radio. No noise, no distraction, just silence. He said that silence felt strange, uncomfortable, then peaceful, then sacred. Out of nowhere, he felt a warmth behind his chest, like someone gently placing a hand there. No words, no vision, no miracle. Just the quiet realization that he wasn't alone. He pulled over at a rest stop and cried, not from sadness, but from relief. He later told me, "It wasn't that God showed up that day. It was that I finally stopped long enough to feel what had always been there." This is what Joel Goldsmith meant when he said, "The kingdom is not coming. The kingdom is being revealed. You do not move toward it." It reveals itself when the illusion of separation begins to fade. But how does that illusion appear in the first place? It begins with the mind. The mind is a storyteller, and the story it tells is, "I am alone. I must protect myself. I must survive. I must defend my identity. I am separate from others. I am separate from God." But the moment you believe the mind's story, you forget the truth. Let me give you a real example from New York City. A woman who worked on Wall Street reached out once, saying she felt spiritually dead. Successful career, high income, expensive apartment. But inside she felt like a ghost. Every day she woke up with anxiety. She said she felt like she was fighting life, not living it. One evening, during a walk through Central Park, she sat on a bench and for the first time allowed herself to simply breathe, not check her phone, not plan tomorrow, not fix her life in her head, just breathe. And for a split second, a tiny moment, she felt something she couldn't put into words. A feeling of deep belonging. A feeling that she was held by something larger than her problems. A feeling she later described as a home I didn't know I had. That moment didn't come from the trees or the air or the park. It came from within her. Because the kingdom was always there, waiting for a crack in her mental noise. This is the pattern again and again. People don't enter the kingdom. They notice it. Let me share something personal from an American father in Ohio. His teenage son had been struggling with anxiety for years. The father said he would pray every night, "God, please fix him. Please send help." One night, while sitting at the edge of his son's bed, something inside him whispered, "Stop praying for change. Be still." He said he paused, truly paused, for the first time in months. No begging, no fear, just presence. And suddenly his son, who had been restless and panicking, slowly began to calm. Without words, without effort, just through the father's stillness. That night changed them both. Because the kingdom doesn't respond to fear, it responds to presence. Joel Goldsmith said, "Where the presence of God is realized, harmony follows." Not because God changes things, but because awareness changes things. The kingdom is not a place. It's an awareness. Let me take you even deeper. Think about the last time you felt close to something sacred, maybe watching the ocean hit the California shore, or seeing the Grand Canyon for the first time, or standing on a hill in Tennessee at sunset, or even sitting alone in your room in a moment of exhaustion and surrender. In that moment, even if just for a second, you felt peace, stillness, relief, a sense that life was bigger than your pain, a sense that something was holding you. That was the kingdom. You didn't create it. You didn't earn it. You simply slowed down enough to taste it. The kingdom is already here, but the illusion of separation blinds us. Let's talk about that illusion. Separation appears when we believe our thoughts. We identify with fear. We carry guilt. We feel unworthy. We believe God is far. We believe we must achieve peace. We believe we must earn love. But the truth is the opposite. You do not become worthy. You remember you were always worthy. This is why Goldsmith said, "The universe is not withholding anything. The mind is." Let's go deeper into a real American story, one that will touch your heart. A man from Texas shared that after losing his mother, he stopped believing in anything sacred. He said, "If the kingdom is real, it certainly wasn't there for me." He avoided spiritual topics for years. One day, while clearing out his mother's belongings, he found a note she had written to him long before she passed. It simply said, "I am with you always." He sat on the floor, holding that note, and something opened inside him. Not grief, but presence, a deep, unexplainable warmth. He said it felt like she was right there, not in memory, not in imagination, but in presence. He wasn't entering the kingdom. He was seeing it, feeling it, awakening to it. The presence of love never left him. He just couldn't feel it through the pain. This is how the illusion dissolves. The kingdom is the awareness of oneness, oneness with God, oneness with peace, oneness with your true self, oneness with the life that breathes you. But how do you live in this awareness? By recognizing that everything you have been searching for is here, by letting go of the idea that God is distant, by seeing your thoughts as noise, not truth, by remembering that separation is not a spiritual problem, it is a psychological illusion. Let me give you an example from a young woman in Arizona. She told me she had spent years trying to manifest things, relationships, money, healing, but always felt anxious during the process. She said, "I kept praying like God was somewhere else." One day, while meditating, she suddenly felt something shift. She said, "It felt like I wasn't praying to God. I was praying from God." That was the moment the illusion dropped. She realized the kingdom wasn't something outside to reach. It was the consciousness within her speaking. Her entire life changed after that. Not instantly, not magically, but steadily, calmly, beautifully, because she stopped searching and started seeing. This is the essence. The kingdom is already here, but you must remove what blocks your sight. Fear blocks it. Noise blocks it. Self-doubt blocks it. Believing your thoughts blocks it. Believing you are separate blocks it. But the moment you pause, the moment you breathe, the moment you become present, the moment your heart softens for even a second, you feel it. You feel the kingdom revealing itself right here, right now, right where you are. Let me give you one of the most touching real-life examples I've ever heard. A nurse from North Carolina told me she had worked in a hospice center for years. She said she witnessed dozens of people take their last breaths, and almost all of them, in their final moments, experienced the same thing: peace, a sense of surrender, a sense that something beautiful was waiting. She said, it was like watching them awaken to something they had forgotten. The kingdom was never waiting in death. It was waiting in awareness. They simply saw it when the mind quieted for the last time. This is the great secret. The kingdom is not a destination. It is the end of resistance, the end of fear, the end of believing you are separate. Joel Goldsmith taught that once you realize oneness, everything in life shifts. You speak differently. You walk differently. You think differently. You love differently. You suffer differently, because you no longer feel alone inside your own skin. You now know there is a presence guiding you. There is a life living you. There is a peace beneath every storm. There is a kingdom within your breath. So hear me deeply. If you feel lost right now, if you feel disconnected, if you feel like life has been too much, if you feel tired of seeking, pause. Just pause and breathe. Because the kingdom is already here, right now, in you, as you, expressing through you. This message found you for a reason. You were meant to hear it. You were meant to awaken. You were meant to remember your oneness. You were meant to end the illusion of separation. Now, breathe again. Feel that? That peace underneath your thoughts? That stillness? That awareness? That soft warmth in your chest? That is the kingdom, and it has been waiting for you to come home. If this message touched you, listen closely to this final part. Subscribe, not for numbers, not for growth, but because your soul needs reminders like this, because you are on a spiritual journey that deserves gentle guidance, because every message we share is designed to pull you closer to your inner peace, your true self, your kingdom. Subscribe so you never forget who you really are.